Hello, Feminine Roadmappers. Today on Feminine Roadmap Inspires, I have my friend, Melissa Berry. She is the founder of Cancer Fashionista. She's a 6-year triple negative breast cancer survivor. And just last week, her journey brought her all the way to Wendy Williams' television show. So I am really excited to share this energetic, powerful survivor, overcomer, and thriver, Melissa Berry. Thank you, Melissa, for coming onto my show today.
Thank you, Gina, for inviting me. I wish I could be next to you in LA, like just sipping mimosas in your backyard. But I'll take it.
It's coming. It's coming. We just have to make it happen. But I want to come to New York. You know, you're in New Jersey, but
We'll do an exchange program. We'll
there
do
we
that.
go.
Yeah.
You come my way. We'll do it here, and then we'll go there and
I
have
like
like
that.
appetizers, drinks. We'll just
Perfect.
Southern
Yeah.
course meal.
Appetizers in LA and dinner in New York. I think that's perfect.
I don't see a problem with that. Let's make it happen. Well, for my listeners and my viewers, I really wanted to share your story because you have the same kind of cancer as Robin, the television anchor.
Yes, Robin Roberts.
Robin Roberts. And so Robin Roberts brought the BRCA gene cancer to the masses with her journey, but you also had a chance to meet her and you have that type of cancer. But I wanted you to share your actual journey from before the cancer, through the cancer, what the fallout was from that, and how you built this incredible, impactful platform, Cancer Fashionista. So let's go ahead and jump right into your story.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for having me on your show. I'm really excited about your new endeavor. So basically, all right, let's rewind. I'm 48 now. I'm a 6-year triple negative breast cancer survivor. Uh, I had a really great childhood. I grew up in New Jersey. I still have so many amazing friends still from high school and college. I went to Marist College for fashion design. Always knew I wanted to be a fashion designer. And when I was at college, I actually had an internship opportunity to do PR for Anne Klein. And at first I remember thinking, I don't want to, what's PR? I ended up falling in love with it. And I dressed Naomi Campbell for a fashion show. And I remember, meeting different celebrities at different, gift lounges that I did in my career. And I've had a really, really exciting career. I met my now ex-husband when I was in college. We met on spring break. Like, he stays together after spring break. 19 years later. But I was very much in love with him. And I continued to have a really, really exciting career in fashion, PR in New York. And we made a really wonderful life for ourselves. We have 2 beautiful daughters, Maya and Erica. Maya's 18. 18. Oh God, not yet. 17. Where did that come from? And Erica's 13. They're just the loves of my life. And, I'll get to this a little later, but, after breast cancer, unfortunately, we did decide to get divorced. So my journey continues. But as far as breast cancer is concerned, there was a lot of breast cancer in my family. So with my exciting career in fashion and, falling in love and starting a family, I got to tell you, Gina, like, it was always kind of humming in the background a little bit. Like, my mother would say, we should probably get genetic testing done at some point because there was so much breast cancer in my family. My mother had breast cancer. My mom's mom had breast cancer. So my grandmother, and even my grandmother's sister, my great aunt, and her husband, who's not a blood relative, also had breast cancer, which is very rare, as for men to get.
Yeah.
So we knew that there was definitely a history there. And when I was about 32, my mom was like, you know what? I think it's probably not a bad idea to get tested. So I always said to myself, Gina, that if I was tested for the BRCA gene, that I would not see it as a diagnosis. I would see it as like a roadmap to my health, like a GPS. And I got to tell you, before I even got the results, I kind of knew that I was going to test positive just because there was so much of it in my family. So I was not surprised when I did test positive. So it was just like, okay, so all right, great. So now I know that there's a very good chance I'm going to get breast cancer for sure. What do I need to do? And my doctor at the time was like, okay, well, now I'm going to be your oncologist. So that was new. He does, my doctor was a genetic oncologist
Okay.
specializing in genetics. And so that in and of itself, like, okay, now I have to see an oncologist regularly. And this is feeling kind of, it's scary. At the same time, I was being as proactive as I could. And so what did this mean? It meant that I had to see him for an MRI, a clinical exam, or a mammogram every few months I was going for something. So a clinical exam, for those who don't know, that's basically where the doctor feels your breasts for any suspicious lumps.
So this started at 32. That's when you got the actual, like, yes, you have this genetic predisposition you have the BRCA gene.
Exactly. You have the BRCA gene, you have a more, and I remember my doctor said, this is not a diagnosis for breast cancer. It does not mean you're getting breast cancer. It just means that your chances are much higher than the general population.
Okay.
So I thought, okay, so now I'm going for MRI and mammogram and clinical. And at first it was really scary, like going for MRIs. I don't know if have you ever had an MRI? It's like
Mm-mm.
really trippy. Like they first of all, they have to put fluid, IV fluid, like a different color so that, they could see everything. And then it's freezing cold always. And you have to lay down and you have to be really still. And there's just these weird clicks and noises. And I remember at first I would just be hysterical. Like, it's just really scary because you feel like, oh my God, you feel like a cancer patient, even though you're not. And then and there's a lot of false positives. So there's a lot of anxiety with these visits. After a while, I got to tell you, it became, as crazy as it sounds, it became routine for me. I was never having to get called back for anything. I was just kind of, I had actually kind of a little bit of a crush. My oncologist is very handsome. So I actually didn't mind going to see him. I'd be like, all right, time to go see the doctor, put some lip gloss on. And we just have a really nice rapport. And I really, admire him, all kidding aside, very much. And I was, plugging along, going for my appointments. And then this was about 6 years ago. I live in New Jersey. I was always running into New York for my appointments. And this one particular time, he was like, you know what, Melissa, you don't need to schlep into the city for your mammo. Just go to the New Jersey hospital. They're great. So I thought, okay, why not? So it was one of these days, we've all had them, where it's like, you have this annoying doctor appointment, but you have like all these other important things. Like I had Vogue asking me where the watch samples were for my client. And I had, dry cleaning, and I had to get, cupcakes for the bake sale. And, we all have our to-do lists. And It was one of those days where I just like could not wait to get out of there from the moment that I was in there. There was a long wait in the waiting room. And I just remember being like, get me out of here. So I remember they called me in and they said, you need to get a clinical first, which is where they feel your breast before they actually do the mammogram. And I remember saying, are you kidding me? I just had that a couple of months ago, like chop, let's just do the mammogram. And they're like, no, we're sorry, but this is protocol. So as soon as the nurse felt my left breast, she looked at me and she was like, I feel a lump. And I was like, really? I mean, I didn't feel anything. She put a sticker on it. And that's when I kind of knew, all right, this is a little scary, but I was just at my other doctor and I'm sure it's nothing. So then we went into another room where they did a mammogram and they didn't see anything. And I'm thinking, great, like waste my time some more, get me out of here. So then we went into another room and they said, we just want to be sure. They did a biopsy, not a biopsy, an ultrasound. And the pathologist, I remember he came in and he said, you know what, I want to do a deep needle biopsy. I see a shadow. And that's when like the hair on my neck stood up. That's when I thought, this feels like something's really wrong. And then I look at my phone. It sounds so trivial, but I had like 2% on my phone. I remember I just lost it because I thought, oh my God, I can't even make a phone call. So now I'm like in my hospital robe. I look like a maniac. Like I'm holding my phone going, does anybody have a cord? Like, you just go into this weird state. Like it was a bit of a panic. So the doctor came in and I went to and this is all in the same day, went to another room. And I knew when I saw him with the two nurses coming towards me, he was like, you have breast cancer. And that's when I thought, oh my God. 6 years later, I still get it.
What an incredible an incredibly shocking, it's like, you know, it's possible, but you're living this life where you're making healthy choices, you know. It's like you're living in two worlds all the time, right? There's the one
Yeah,
that's
like I always joke, like I say, I mean, I was like eating kale. Oh, I left one really big important thing out. When I was 30, my doctor said because of the BRCA gene, by the time you're 40, you need to have your ovaries removed.
oh,
Lucky for me, I'm so blessed. I have two beautiful children. I was done having children, and I thought, okay, I do not want my 40th birthday present to be like menopause. So I purposely did it when I was 39. And it was rough. I'm not going to lie. Like surgical menopause, I mean, natural menopause is it's like a natural progression. It's like, it's just sort of
there's a trajectory, right? As opposed to a
exactly.
starting point.
Exactly. So it's like I went from being, you know, a young, vibrant woman, I'm getting choked up again, to like having night sweats and like, you know, hot flashes. And like, then I started thinking, am I going to like wake up tomorrow and have gray hair and wrinkles? Like I seriously thought I was going to wake up and look like my grandma was beautiful, no lie, but like, I didn't want to wake up and look like my grandma. So you're just like, without education or like knowing, I really thought like this, that the best of my life was over.
Oh,
I
wow.
really thought at this point, glad I had a great time, Melissa. Like the parties and everything were great, but I really did.
So basically, you took surgical action in order to reduce the risk of getting the breast cancer.
Exactly. And I honestly thought in advance of being diagnosed with breast cancer, I thought I had my freaking ovaries removed. Like to me, that was like,
It's like an
that's like,
altar, right? You
yeah,
offer them up.
aside from, yeah, exactly. Sacrificing your firstborn. I mean, it's like, oh my God, you know, that's like, I remember thinking, am I even going to feel like a woman again? No ovaries, no breasts, like no hair. I know you said
Right?
I could first.
Yeah.
So yeah. So
I
that,
feel
so
that
I
though.
did,
I feel that, you know, that you've done all you humanly can to move that needle toward your health.
exactly. It was like a shield for me. It's
Yeah.
like I have a family, children, career, like cancer, leave me, like do not touch me. That's how I felt. I don't want to be touched by you. I ate kale, I did yoga, I had my ovaries removed, still got breast cancer. And guess what? And I'll go through all the paces. I'm probably the best version of myself than I've never been happier.
Incredible. There's
But
something
it's
about those
it's not
traumatic
easy.
experiences. Yeah.
It's not
So
easy.
once you got the diagnosis, what happened next?
So when I was diagnosed, the timing was actually wild. It was the day that I went. So I went in the next day for a consult with my breast surgeon. It was the very same day that Angelina Jolie came out with her news about getting a prophylactic bilateral mastectomy. And I remember I said to my mom, I was like, "Why didn't we do that? I didn't even think about having, having my breast removed in advance of getting." And she was like, "Melissa, you know what? It's always easier in hindsight to say those things.
Yeah.
You are where you are right now." And that's what I always tell women, that when they're diagnosed and they're like, "Oh my God, like, you know, I have stage 2 or 3. Knew I should have gone 6 months ago." It doesn't matter. There's no point in beating yourself up. You got to meet yourself where you are, and just give yourself a pat on the back for going to the appointment when you did. There's no point in looking back. So I had my consult, and I remember she's drawing like the breasts and like where the surgery is happening, and the different options for surgery. And I remember my head is just spinning. And I always tell people, when you go for these consults, I cannot stress how important it is to bring your husband, your partner, your best friend, your mom, your father, whoever it is, an advocate, because you can't even really absorb all the information or know all the questions to ask.
Right.
So I went for the appointment, and they basically said, you know, based on, they knew it was triple negative before they even ran all of the biopsy tests. And they said, this is an aggressive form of breast cancer. You're going to need chemotherapy. And I was like, okay, well, not the kind where your hair falls out, right? They're like, it's going to fall out. And I was like, what? And I'm like, well, I don't need to have my breast removed, right? Like, we're talking lumpectomy, radiation, whatever, not to minimize any of that. They're like, no, you need, this is aggressive. Triple negative is an aggressive form of breast cancer. Like, we can't mess around. And then to make matters worse, we were supposed to go as a family to Punta Cana for a family vacation in a week from that point. So once we knew what the course of treatment was, the doctor was like, look, go on your vacation, enjoy yourself, because when you come back, you have a lot of work to do. And I was like, oh my God, how am I going to enjoy myself? And you know what, Gina, I did the best I could. We actually had a great vacation. I remember though that like putting on my bikini top, I remember I still had like pain from the biopsy, and it was just this annoying reminder of what was waiting for me when I came back home. But I did the best I could to enjoy myself. It was definitely probably the most difficult vacation for me because I really had to keep like reeling my head back into it.
Being present and trying to enjoy what was in front of you.
Exactly. I'm like, okay, my feet are in the sand, I'm in the ocean. And then I start keep thinking about losing my hair. I'm like, don't do it. Don't do it. And that was really hard.
So once you got back, you did do a double mastectomy, right?
Yep. I had a bilateral mastectomy. I had, and I had, breast reconstruction. And then I had to have about 12 rounds of very aggressive chemotherapy. And
wow.
Chemotherapy is like a really funky thing. I mean, there's so many different types of chemo, but they told me it would be progressive. So like the first couple of treatments, I'm like, I feel great. Like I got this. But they said, oh no, over time. And so over time it was very debilitating.
And
so I always tell women
like, whole journey from diagnosis to the end of your chemotherapy. What was the timeline?
So I was diagnosed in March of 2013. And, it was a good 2 years, between the chemo, the initial, so when you initially have a bilateral mastectomy, they put what are called expanders in your breast. So you wake up actually with like little baby breasts. So it's just so you have something there and to sort of prepare the body for the implants. This is kind of an interesting part. It was sort of fascinating to me. So then after you've had your chemo, I mean, everyone's course of treatment is different, but with me, they wanted to do the initial surgery first, and then I had the chemo, and then I did the reconstruction after I was done with chemo. And what they do is once you're ready for your actual implants, the expanders are kind of hard. They're uncomfortable. They do what's called a swap. So they actually take them out and then you get implants put in. But here's the trick. They put implants in and then there's actually like a needle that so I would go for fills over the course of a couple of months, where I would go and they would literally fill the implant through the breast. Like there's like a little, they put some, I should really know more, be a little more technical about this, but they actually fill it with saline until you get to the size that you want to be.
Interesting. And so that was a 2-year journey for you.
Basically, yeah.
So what was losing your hair like for you? Because I mean, losing your breasts, I think, let's talk about the losses, because that's the part of the story that I think might freak women out. Like, what was your emotional journey with that? And how did you feel about yourself as a woman?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you, like ever since I was a little girl, I mean, I was the one that played with Barbie. I had the Barbie head. I was all about the hair, the makeup. Like, I used to play with my hair for hours, like as a child, like, braiding it, like in the 80s with the little beads. And I just always loved it. And that's why I think I got into fashion, because I remember even as a teenager, I would have just issues and issues of 17 magazine in my room. And I would just like experiment and play with the hairstyles of whatever was trendy. So, and then like in high school, oh my God, I had the spiral. I look like John Bon Jovi in high school. I had huge hair, and I loved it. And I like couldn't use enough hairspray ever. And for me, I'll be honest with you, it was a big deal. I think for most women it is, because let's face it, we like flip our hair. What bra should I wear? Like, how did my boobs look in this dress? Like, that's just the aesthetics of today. So when I first learned that I was going to lose my hair, I actually, it was so surreal to me. I couldn't even believe it. But in reality, it actually wasn't that bad. I went with my sister-in-law to my favorite hair salon, Mania's in Park Ridge. New Jersey, and they were amazing. They did like a private appointment for me, and I thought I would go in and they were going to shave my head, and my hairdresser was like, you know what? Like, your hair is going to fall out eventually. Let's just give you like a super cute pixie cut at first. So she did. And when she did it, we were like, why didn't we do this sooner? Like, I really loved it. I really loved it. And then what happens is when the chemo really starts to kick in, and again, everyone has like a different time frame. I remember I had a white desk, and I was sitting at my desk working, and I remember seeing like just little pieces of hair, like splinters. It looked like I'm like, what is that on the, I'm like, oh my God, that's my hair. It was really starting to itch and fall out. So I decided to shave it one morning. It's like, you know, that feeling, we've all been there, where maybe your legs are itching because you need to shave them. It's the same kind of sensation.
Okay.
And separate little note, my daughter, Erica, who's 13 now, she was 8. Little kids go through these phases where I want to be a fireman, I want to be a teacher. She was like, I want to be a hairdresser. So it was like 6 o'clock in the morning. I remember getting up. My hairdresser told me exactly what kind of, electric razor to use, what blade to use to shave my head when I was ready. And I was ready. Gina, it was just so itchy. And I'm like, you know what? F this. So I went into the bathroom. It's really early in the morning, and I'm about to start buzzing. And I hear knock, knock at the door. I'm like, Erica? She's like, what are you doing, mommy? I'm like, do you want to shave my hair off? And she was like, yeah, I do. So she came into the bathtub with me. I had my pajamas. We were both in our pajamas, and I handed her this thing, the razor. And I said, just so you know, this is the only time I'm ever going to let you do this. So enjoy it. And she was like this. So we ended up laughing, and she shaved it. And then I remember I had to kind of finish it off, but it was such a scary, it could have been such a horrible, lonely, scary moment by myself. And a lot of women actually hide their illness from their children. But for me, it actually, they were like my air. They were my oxygen. They like really helped me through it. So that was pretty profound, that whole experience of losing my hair.
Yeah. So now, what ended up happening through this course? Your marriage began to fall apart, and I don't know if it's because of the cancer, but what was that journey? Because you were really going through a lot of loss.
Yes. So I would say that, I was having a difficult time in my marriage before the breast cancer. And I think, what I tell my friends and my family is an illness or a major trauma, I think it could either really bring people together, like really cement their relationship, or it could be a tremendous strain. And unfortunately, in our case, I think it definitely was a strain. It certainly didn't help matters. And, the divorce didn't happen at the same time as the breast cancer. There were a couple of years, but, as a woman, it can feel like it was all lumped together in the same chapter.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a feeling of loss. But I will tell you this, because I know my children and maybe my ex-husband and all my friends and family will be listening to this. It was for the best. And I mean that with my heart. And he actually put it best. We didn't work anymore. We didn't work anymore. And we were very lucky. We are able to co-parent our children. I'm very proud of the way that we actually are able to carry on as a family, as a different family unit. Yeah. I'm very proud of that. But certainly, I'm not going to lie. Of course, it's a feeling of loss and change, and especially after going through such a transition after having surgery and chemotherapy. The last thing you want to do is think about living somewhere else and dating. All that stuff is pretty foreign.
Yeah, and it's an interesting thing, because all of these things are building in your life, and you're so focused on that. Tell me a little bit about how that cancer journey led to Cancer Fashionista. What was that? How did it become what it is?
It's funny. It happens so naturally and really by accident, and out of my own need for beautiful things. When I was starting to go through treatment, I felt like my only line of defense was, all right, if I can at least look not like a supermodel, I just want to look like myself going through this, then I feel like, especially for my family too, like my kids, my then husband, like I can just sort of look like me, then things will feel as normal as possible.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds very surface, but it's true. Like I would catch myself, listen, if you catch yourself in the mirror and you have no hair and you're gray and, sometimes just a little bit of lip gloss and throwing even a scarf on, great pair of earrings, you can feel a lot better. And it's important. So, and listen, I'll tell you, there were some days I didn't do anything, that I felt sick and I just needed to be. And and everyone was around me was fine with that.
So there's a little bit of be gentle with yourself in that journey.
Oh my God, absolutely. There were some days I would just be in like my oldest bathrobe, no makeup, like lavender oil on just meditating or just sleeping or just yelling at everyone for not doing the laundry.
Oh, normal stuff. Gotcha. Yeah.
That happened too. but yeah, I ended up scouring the internet and there was nothing all in one place. I was like, where is the Vogue of breast cancer? Where is that resource for the lashes, the wigs? Because a lot of the stuff I was finding, with all due respect, some of the bras looked like something you'd find in a hospital catalog, and it just didn't resonate with me. So I really hit the internet and I found, now there are tons of resources, but I found like a handful and I made a list. And then my mom would say, oh, a friend of a friend was diagnosed. Do you have that list? Or my friend would say, do you have that list? And then my really good friend, Tina, who's amazing, and she is a web designer. She was like, she has a British accent. I can't do British very well, but she was like, well, you ought to start a blog. I was like, start a blog? I'm like, I am going through chemotherapy. Like, I can't even fry an egg. Okay, fine, I'll start a blog. And I did.
You cook the egg, I'll write the blog.
Seriously. It's weird. I woke up one morning and the word Cancer Fashionista, it was just like, I just said it. It was there. It was there.
I love
and
that.
That's how it started. And I just started blogging about products that I like. Well, first I started with just really a list. And then I started to want to interview the founders of these companies. And then I found myself wanting to go to events and conventions. And to me, listen, it's always fun to do a selfie or, an interview, but for me, my pride and joy is interviewing other women and other, what I call cancerpreneurs, and really, highlighting what they're doing. Like there's some, I'll give you a shout out for Anna Ono Intimates. Dana Donofree is an incredible friend of mine, and she really is, like, I would say, the pioneer of the post-mastectomy bra. She's revolutionized the industry. She has made it sexy and attainable and real, and she is so in touch with her audience, it's not even funny. And then I love Salted Girl Beauty is one of my favorite clean beauty brands, and Sarah, who's the founder, is also a breast cancer survivor, and her sister is an oncology nurse. They have an incredible story. And then, I can go on and on, but there's another brand called Violets Are Blue, and the founder is Cynthia Besteman, and she also had breast cancer, couldn't find a deodorant that she really liked, so she started her own brand. There's just so many of them out there. I just applaud them for what they do.
What's so inspiring about this, as I myself have not experienced cancer in my own life, but it seems like that the cancer, as awful as it is and as scary as it is, yourself and your friends, the people that you got to know, it's like that was the catalyst for such amazing things to be born.
You said it. Especially I feel like in a way it was like a movie, and everyone had like a super important part. Like, my kids like made me smile. They just gave me so much joy, and they gave me so much hope, and they gave me like reason to
fight.
Yeah. And my dad was with me for every single chemo treatment. And that's hard to watch your child. I'm a 48-year-old child, but it's still your child.
That's just how it is.
Yeah.
I'm like, my children, my women, like, what do I call them? Because they're women, but they're my children, so I get it.
Yeah.
I know you had an amazing support from your parents, right?
My parents, incredible. My mother, especially being a survivor herself, and she always said to me, Melissa, you know what? I didn't cry once because I feel like if I started to cry, I would never stop. She never shed a tear. And now I'm crying. Thanks, Mom. And then my friends from my fashion design major friends from Marist College, they were incredible. They called themselves the Fashion Army, and they inspired me to really do what I do. They sent me like I remember a yummy cardigan that was so chic, but it was like so soft, and that was awesome. And they would send me like a box of like every care package had like a different theme. One time was just funny books, like from Amy Poehler. And I mean, they gave me stuff to look forward to. And to this day, they're just so supportive of everything that I'm doing. I'm just so lucky. I just hope that I could be as good a friend and family member to everyone as they've been with me.
Let's talk a little bit about what I think is inspiring, how your blog became what it is now, like leading to being on Wendy Williams last week. When we had to move our interview so you could be on TV, I was like, oh my gosh, yes.
Oh my God, Gina, first of all, I'm so sorry. I felt like such a diva. I'm like, can we reschedule? I'm going on Wendy Williams, so I cannot make the appointment.
You're like this. I'm sorry, I have something big.
Have my people call your people, Oh my gosh.
I was so happy for you though. So proud of you, because I've watched someone just be so authentic in the world and move towards something. It's like you attracted these amazing opportunities to be a light for your journey and for other women, right? That's why we're here on this interview, this conversation here on Feminine Roadmap Inspires, is because we need to have those. You're like, inspirational people are like a string of twinkle lights, right? We just need to see that twinkle sometimes.
Oh my gosh, you're so sweet. Oh my God, thank you. I have to say, I guess I didn't, I wasn't in a board meeting coming up with this idea, and I'm maybe too honest for my own good. I'm really making it up as I go along, and I'm doing what feels right. Like if there's someone I want to interview, I do it. I don't have like a massive marketing plan, or I'm just doing what feels right. And I am very blessed to have opportunity, and I'm a publicist, and I have, really nice connections with the media. And, if I feel that it's appropriate, I'll use it for my own, to get my own word out there. But it's all really just to help other women, and to like I said, these other entrepreneurs, and to promote their products,
So tell me let's talk
about Wendy Williams.
Cancer Fashionista. Like, it is a blog, but then it's now like a platform. Like you're like doing these things, and you've done thing for Susan B. Komen, right? I've seen you do that recently. And the little body form behind you, that was from an event that you did. Tell me all about
now, so the blog is really at the nucleus of all of this, but I really do love to get out there and go to events and connect with other thrivers and other women that are, whether they're about to start chemo or they're 12 years out. I love all of them. It's a real sisterhood. So I'm involved with different nonprofit organizations. The Triple Negative Breast Cancer Foundation obviously is near and dear to my heart. Living Beyond Breast Cancer is an incredible resource. Susan G. Komen has been wonderful. I was their ambassador for the Race for the Cure this year, so that was a huge honor. And and things like Wendy Williams, pop up. So she does a segment every year called Breast Cancer Eye Candy, and I threw my hat in the ring for that, and I was very grateful. They called me right away, and they said they wanted to meet with me, and they did an interview in person, and then they booked me for it. So that was super cool. But I'm really just excited to really, continue on my journey, and to continue to find and report on these new resources. There are new, everything from nipple tattoos to post-mastectomy bras, wigs, lashes, skincare, everything. And then a lot of these products are not necessarily just for breast cancer patients. So I feel like my job is never going to be done, because there's always going to be new innovations out there. And I just want to make sure that I'm, giving my audience the information that they need to look and feel their best. And like I always say, I'm not curing cancer by any stretch of the imagination. Lipstick is not going to make your tumor go away. But if it could make you feel better and, lift your spirits a little bit, why not?
So your love for fashion, you married it to your cancer journey because it gave you a sense of being feminine again?
Absolutely. And I didn't want to lose myself, I didn't want to lose my aesthetic. I didn't want to lose, my love for cute things and for feeling pretty. Even when I had date night with my husband, like I wanted to look as cute and pretty as I could. And I gotta tell you, sometimes it was really, really hard. Like I was pumped with so much medication. I remember thinking, oh my God, my face is puffy and like wig on, and bless him, he would say, you look beautiful, and it's important to have, I think, a good partner when you're going through this too. That certainly helps. And he was wonderful.
So the journey for you was 2 full years.
I don't really like to put a time on it because I don't really feel like I'm ever completely done. I'm done with treatment. And I would say
treatment was 2 years.
More or less from beginning to end with all the reconstruction and everything. But they say the only good thing about triple negative is that once you hit 5 years without a recurrence, the chances of a recurrence is very, very, it's like slim to none. So, I don't really like to put a time frame necessarily on my journey because I just feel like it's ongoing. But listen, I'm not going to be foolish either. I'm grateful to be where I am now. There's no disease, and I'm able to work and go to the gym and do just get back into my life again.
Did you go back into PR, or did this become your career?
A little bit of both. What's nice is I'm able to actually really marry the two. I've worked with some really wonderful brands in the space, so I'm able to do both, to enjoy both, because I really do love PR. It's different now with not as many people are reading magazines, so it's definitely changed, and it's morphed more into social media and digital media marketing. But I really love it. I always say, like, even though I've been doing this for over 25 years, I still get so excited when a client is featured in a publication. It makes me so happy.
It's like your child, right?
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
So tell me about that body form behind you. You were saying that before we hit record, but that was really inspirational. Tell me about that.
Thank you. Yes. So every year I have a table at the Living Beyond Breast Cancer Shimmer and Shine event. So Living Beyond Breast Cancer is a wonderful nonprofit organization that helps women, thrive as they're going through breast cancer, but beyond. And they have an incredible website and resources. So they have an annual convention every year, and they kick the convention off. It's usually like a weekend convention with different, researchers and doctors and talking about the latest studies, and there's yoga. It's a whole mixed bag of things, but they kick it off every Friday night with an event called Shimmer and Shine. And every year I try and come up with something that's interactive and creative. And I brought this dress form with me and these little pieces of muslin with Sharpie pens. And I invited women to walk by who were walking by to write down words of wisdom. And I actually have a whole bag still. I have my hot glue gun it kind of lost its it was weird. It was a rechargeable hot glue gun, but it didn't recharge. Long story short, I need to finish putting it on here, but some of these are really incredible. Like this one says, "This is your second life. Enjoy." If I'm ever having a bad day, like I look at that, because whether you're no evidence of disease or metastatic, no matter where you are, I mean, just that this is your second life. Enjoy. Like, yeah. There is an awakening. There's something that happens when you go when you are treated for a disease like this. It's like you don't really sweat the small stuff. If I go to bed and my to-do list is not done, I've learned to let it go. I really have.
It's like perspective, huh?
Huge perspective. And I still have to remind myself, because I still get, because sometimes I think, and then this is like not the most positive thought, but sometimes I think, wow, I wonder if it was my lifestyle that, like, I didn't get breast cancer because of, all the stress and the running around, but I've got to believe that it didn't help. So I really try and reel myself in when I'm stressed or I'm like doing too much, or if I'm not balanced, I'm not taking time to, go for a walk or like meet a friend for coffee, or just slow it down a little bit. Because as exciting as all of this stuff is, it's kind of silly to get crazy doing this when, the idea is to be taking care of yourself. So I always encourage people balance, meditation, but then I have to walk the walk too.
Right. Which I think a platform like that does kind of help you find balance, because as you're being that example, right, you're kind of like, oh yeah, me too.
Exactly. I mean, there are some days I try to meditate, even if it's just 5 minutes every day. And if I don't for a couple of days, I kind of think to myself, God, I feel so off. Like, what is it? And it's the meditation. It's a powerful tool. So I do try and practice what I preach.
So now that meditation, how has that been a part of your journey? What started you on the meditation journey, and how did that fit into your, like, I would say, self-care, self-treatment?
I'm going to take a sip. I'm a terrible water drinker. Speaking of balance, terrible.
I know earlier I was like, my favorite little mug, morning pumpkin, and my lipstick mark there. I'm like, I'm gonna have some tea while you drink your water.
You're so cute. Well, I don't know if you follow Rachel Hollis.
Ah, yes.
Love her. And I'm a terrible water drinker. I noticed she said that, oh, if you put cinnamon sticks and apple slices in your water, it's like apple pie. Gina, oh my God. Now I love my water. It tastes like
Cinnamon
apple pie.
sticks. Interesting.
Cinnamon sticks and apple slices.
Ah, see, I drink water all the time. So good
Yeah.
self-care tip, ladies. Drink your water. You can do cucumber, you can do mint, you can do citrus. There's so many ways to drink water.
Oh, yeah, mint is good. I forgot about mint and cucumber. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah. Anyway, I digress.
We'll do a separate chit chat about water flavors.
We have a girlfriend time over our drink.
Meditation. I was introduced to this by my dear friend, supermodel Emmy. I smile when I think of her because she's just a blast of sunshine.
Yes.
She is one of the most incredible people that I've ever met. And she's a dear, dear friend of mine. And we actually our friendship was really new when I was first diagnosed. I remember calling her and I said, Em, I have something really, really bad to tell you. And she was like, what, Melissa? I'm like, no, you don't understand. It's really bad. She's like, I don't care. Just tell me. And when I told her, it wasn't in the very same conversation, but one of the things that she told me to do was, Melissa, you got to start meditating. And I was like, I almost was upset with her. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, I have to make,
that's all you have to say.
I have to figure out my health insurance and like how the kids are getting to school. And you want me to sit down and do nothing for 5 minutes? Woman, what are you smoking? And she was like, okay, so she totally didn't listen to me. She was like, you're going to come with me to this meditation circle. So there was this little cafe in town and she just ran these little meditation gatherings. And I sat down on the cushion and she put some lavender on my pulse points. And I'm like, okay, this is getting weird, but okay, I'm going to give it a shot. Closed my eyes and she put on Wayne Dyer, which I don't know if you've heard of, but like, yeah, super spiritual. And again, I was still wary. And then, you know what? I just allowed it to happen. And I just closed my eyes and I drifted and I felt like I had a mini vacation. And I remember after we were done, I was like, oh my God, are you a witch? Because that felt so good. And so she really introduced me to meditation. And ever since then, you know, I try and practice as much as I can. I'll, you know, sometimes put on YouTube. And honestly, you can go on YouTube and hit meditation for sleep, meditation for creativity, meditation for anything. And there's 5 meditations, there's 2-hour meditations. So I'm a huge advocate, a believer of it. I think it really works.
Yeah, 2-hour meditation. I'm not sure I have my focus. I can do like 20 minutes, but 2 hours would be.
Yeah, 20 minutes is pretty much my threshold. And then I start I'm like, oh my God, I have to switch the laundry. Oh my God, did I leave something in the car? You know, your brain starts like doing weird stuff.
Your brain's like, we're done now. We are so
Yeah, defrost the chicken. Let's do this.
So what's next for Cancer Fashionista? And what's next for my dear friend, Melissa?
Oh, you're so sweet. Well, I'm really excited because now I'm starting to do corporate workshops where I can help educate men and women in the workplace and not scare them about breast cancer, but just educate them and give them some advice. So if they have a friend or a family member that's going through it, like, what do I get her? What do I do? What do I say? What do I say in the workplace? You know, I call it office etiquette, you know, so that's really my next big endeavor is just getting out there into the corporate world and educating.
Wow. Well, how can people find you, Melissa? Where are you at?
Well, my cell number, no, I'm just kidding.
If you're this tall, this good looking, service.
Well, I can be found on Instagram at Cancer Fashionista. You can also visit my website at cancerfashionista.com. And you can also stop by and say hi on Facebook on Cancer Fashionista.
So pretty much Say it with me, ladies. Cancer Fashionista. If you or a friend or someone you're going through life with is experiencing these things, I highly recommend that you meet up somewhere on social media with Melissa, because I want to honor you, Melissa, for taking your difficult journey, your sorrow, your loss, your anger, your grief, all of those emotions that you went through, and coming out the other side with such a beautiful thing that you've created in the world just by day, stepping out there each day and finding a way to want to help other people navigate the journey that you did. So I want to honor you for doing that, for being that, and for the wonderful person that I know you are.
Oh my God, are you talking about? I can't believe you're talking about me. You're so sweet. Thank you, and I'm just so proud of what you're doing, and I can't wait to tune in and see hear about all these other women that you're going to be chatting with, and now we get to see them too because you have video. So bravo,
Bravo. We're going raw and live, baby, raw and live.
And maybe you'll invite me back.
Absolutely. These things, the way that we as women, Feminine Roadmap Inspires and Cancer Fashionista is all about elevating other women and linking arms and sharing community, because women in community can do such powerful things. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. We run in packs.
We do run in packs. Power packs, baby. Power packs. So thank you again for being with
Love
me.
you.
Love you too, my friend.